Hey Fitheads, today we have Cassidy, also known as MartiniMonsters on Twitch, and she is an OG Twitch streamer, doing it way before anyone else, and she's a certified strength and conditioning specialist, and just an overall beast of a power lifter, and we really dig in about powerlifting with her.
Yeah, it was awesome. We talked knee straps, or knee wraps, strap hands. We talked grips. We talked, it was fun. It was like a lot of technical power stuff and then sort of goofy, what's your favorite knee wrap sort of thing.
Yeah.
I liked how she was very sort of, this is how I do it. And I've sort of learned by making mistakes. When people say that to me, I always generally trust them a lot more because, if somebody knows what they do and they like never had to think about how they learned how they did it, then I don't know if they know what they do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or they just got it from someone else and think that it's truth.
Yeah.
So it was cool to hear her journey.
Welcome to Total Fitheads.
Serious fitness for not so serious people. Hi, Cass. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. You're right in front of your dope streaming situation.
Yeah, this is my stream setup, basically.
That's so cool. You were garage gymming before anybody was doing it. It's all the rage now, but you.
Yeah.
That's really
it's nice
sweet.
when you do it ahead of time. Yeah, so you don't have to like compete with everybody buying everything.
Right, yeah. I was looking on your site and you're like, go to Craigslist to get fitness equipment. I'm like, not anymore.
No, sorry.
Yeah, so what's your
That's
setup?
Outdated advice.
You got some stuff going on.
I have way too nice of stuff for how strong I am, actually. I kind of built this in mind. Well, because you know Ben Rice. So like I have some strong powerlifter friends. And I was
Ben Rice
like,
is another Twitch streamer, by the way, for the Fitheads.
Yes. And he can deadlift like 800 pounds. So my goal was, yeah. Well, I don't know about casually. Okay. He can deadlift 700 pounds casually.
What was he doing when we were, so she and I hung out at TwitchCon and Ben was there too. And he was deadlifting 700 a day for a month.
700 once a week.
Once a week.
And he's done that for over a year now.
Oh, wow.
Well, he's done that since then. Like at that point, it had already been
Look at Max's face.
Yeah, so he has kept that streak up to this day. Yes.
We woke up hungover. Well, he doesn't drink, but the next morning he's like, "Oh shoot, the week's gonna be over. We gotta find a gym and lift 700 pounds." I was like, "What?"
Oh shoot.
I think he hadn't really slept, so
yeah,
he was
that's
definitely
what it was.
Feeling awful.
Yeah, I knew that he was like, yeah, because we were just partying and staying up and whatever. It was crazy though. He just worked up to 700, did it, and then we went to breakfast or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, sorry.
No, that's okay. So I have like I have really nice bars. I have like a Kabuki power bar. I have a Texas deadlift bar. I have like all the expensive, it's a Rogue rack, like I don't need this stuff. Like I would be fine on the cheap Craigslist bar, but I wanted anyone to be able to come over and deadlift in my tiny garage gym if they wanted to.
That's dope. Well, okay. I've not used a deadlift bar. How does it compare? Is it really... Are you stronger on a deadlift bar?
No, because I'm pretty weak, relatively speaking. The stronger you are, the stronger you potentially can be, since one of the main components is that it bends more. So as you're starting to pull it, you're not having to lift all the weight at once. And so you get more upright where you're stronger and things are easier. And then you're pulling all of the weight. So if you practice on it, and you're lifting enough weight that you get a good bend, then it can help you lift a lot more. But the bar doesn't bend for me. It's too little weight to bend.
Shut up. Bar bends on your squats. Stop it.
Well, I mean, every bar bends a little bit, but not a significant amount. It's also thinner, so it is a little easier to grip, which is nice for small hands.
Oh yeah, is your squat bar like a 45?
It's a regular squat bar. Okay. It's not like it's not a squat bar, because there's squat bars, which those are even thicker. Yeah, really? So a squat bar is like 55 pounds. This is just a 45 pound bar. Well, it's a 20 kilo bar, but yeah, same diff.
Wow. This is a lot.
Bars can get really confusing because then there's Olympic bars. If you accidentally get an Olympic lifting bar, but you're a power lifter, that can suck.
I mean, I've been powerlifting on a women's Olympic bar.
So well, I mean, you're fine, but you know, it might be a bit whippy. If you get pretty heavy, it could throw you off balance.
That's the
feel
problem.
weird.
That's why I'm not lifting as much as you. It's just because I
Yeah,
have the
just
wrong
blame it
bar.
on the bar. Yeah.
Which, by the way, we're the same height and weight. So
We're not the same weight. I weigh
Yeah.
like 140 right now.
okay. Yeah, I'm like 125 to
That's what I
130.
try to compete at, but right
Okay.
now I'm a good fluffy 140.
All right. Well, I got to get up there then. It's bulking season.
Exactly, it is.
So, okay. The Kabuki bar that you have, we had him on too, by
Mhm.
the way. So Chris Duffin, if you've
Yeah.
seen that episode in the past, tell me about that one.
That's just like a regular, basic, generic powerlifting bar, but because it's Kabuki's, it's like nicer. You know, it's a higher
Cadillac.
tensile strength, which just means it shouldn't bend. The knurling is a little bit different. They have their own like knurling pattern that can be a big deal for people, because you can still deadlift on this bar depending on what federation you compete in. You're not gonna deadlift on a deadlift bar. So the way the knurling feels and like how grippy it is versus how much it's going to beat up your hands, especially if you're doing hook grip. All those things can make you have a particular bar preference. So I do actually really like even though he's local, and so of course I'm the Portland hipster that's like, buy local. Of course I'm going to buy all my bars from Kabuki.
Walk there and carry it home.
Basically, yeah, I've gone
Cruelty-free.
and picked it up. Yeah, exactly. But I do think it is a really nice bar. Like, I think it feels good in my hands. So not to be a commercial for their stuff, but I do
Why
like
not?
it.
We made an hour-long commercial for his book last time he was on.
Yeah, I saw that. He's very nice. So I told you earlier that my first powerlifting meet was at Kabuki.
Yeah.
And so I weighed in at that meet at 112. And
Holy.
I weighed in, so it was a 24-hour weigh-in. So I weighed in the day before, and Duffin was the one who was there when I was weighing in. So I'm like this tiny little person next to giant Duffin. And it was the first time I'd ever met him in person too. And he was like so sweet. You know, he could tell that I was probably crazy nervous. And he's like, you know, you might not sleep tonight, but it's okay. You're still going to do fine. Nobody sleeps well. Like, you know, don't worry about it. Just have fun. And it was very comforting, actually. So I was so surprised that he could be so like gentle and sweet, because he can seem very intimidating if you just watch videos of him lifting.
Yeah, for sure. That's so cool. And how did it go? That was your first one?
It went great. I went 9 for 9, actually. And I set PRs.
I don't know what 9 for 9
is
means.
9 for
that means you didn't miss a lift.
Right, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you get 3 attempts in each lift. So that's usually nice. You know, sometimes you don't get your last lift because you were going for something really crazy and you know you weren't going to get it, and it kind of doesn't matter. It all depends on what your goals are for the meet and everything. But since that was my first one, that was my goal, was to hit everything and hopefully get some PRs, which I did. So it was nice. It was a good experience.
How much smelling salts are we talking?
I hate smelling salts. So I have them, but like I would say that I'm a pretty like methodical, thoughtful lifter. So for me, even though if you are psyching yourself out, it's kind of nice to get that like snap out of it, like sudden hit thing. But it also makes me forget what I'm doing. So then it's sort of like, it throws me off too much. So I don't like it. I don't use it for lifting.
You use it
sometimes
for
like
reading
if
at
I'm
night.
starting a session, yeah, basically I'm like, oh man, I'm just in a mood smelling salts.
We're out of coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
What were the PRs?
Oh god, that was years ago though. I don't remember. I did get first place because I was the only person in my weight class.
Nice.
Both my meets I've won. I've only done 2 meets, and I won both of them because I was the only person in my weight class at them.
2-0.
Yeah,
Solid.
so I'm an undefeated champion. Yeah.
That's a joke. Well, okay, so what is your, like, when you open your opening lift, that you're not going for a PR at that point? It's like,
oh no, it should be, the general recommendation is something you could do for a triple on any day, because you could have terrible days and you just don't know what could possibly happen. So you want to make sure your opener is something that at least you don't bum out. because and like, even given this is really common knowledge, people tell beginners all the time, and somehow you still see people bomb out on their openers, where it was just like, I don't know what you were thinking. Was that really something you could triple any given day, or were you being overly ambitious? And I'm sure really advanced people like maybe refine that a little bit more, but if you're not trying to set like a national record, you probably should do the really safe thing, because it's like, that's going to be, you know, if you're a really great athlete, you can overcome any like setback and like just be like, whatever, it's fine. But if you bomb out, like, that's, I mean, even if you're going to finish the meet, you still, nothing counts. Like, you've lost. You've already lost. So like, if you bomb out on squats and then you still have to bench and deadlift, which you can choose not to do, but like, if you're just, I'm going to participate, I'm going to do my thing, you're probably not going to have the greatest lifts either, because you're just going to be mentally like, none of this counts.
Yeah.
So
now,
you
do you
just
set your own, do you say what you're going to do beforehand?
Yeah, you can change it up to a certain point.
Because it's interesting,
yeah,
you're sort of competing against your own mind in that sense.
Yeah, you totally are.
Like, man, I just kicked my own ass.
Right, exactly. That's why, so like, you kind of only have yourself to blame when those things happen, unless you're competing really with someone. But if you're someone who has to ask the question, like, what should my openers be? You're probably not really competing against other people, because at like local, regional level meets, the competition usually isn't that close. It's just not. In some weight classes it can be, but like, it still shouldn't be about that, because you're never really that close.
So what is it like in between the lifts? Like, are you just, you do one and then you just like sit around forever because everybody else is going?
Kind of. Yeah. Meets are a weird thing. They're not the most spectator friendly sport. There's flights. So depending on the size of the flights, you go in a round. So it'll be like, everyone does their first squat, then everyone does their second. So sometimes it'll be like, all the lower weight classes do it in the morning, they all do their squats, and then the next flight goes. So that could be like in 2 hours or something like that. My timing, I'm not really sure about, because like, meets can be such different sizes depending on the venue and everything, how many platforms you have running at once. It varies a lot, but generally it's going to be a whole day-ish kind of affair. You probably have to get there pretty early in the morning, maybe around like 7, and then you're probably not going to be really done until like 4 p.m. But you're not lifting that whole time, because there's just a lot of hurry up and wait kind of stuff. And you need time to warm up. And
right, once you warm up, then you like, do you stay warm? Are you like doing air squats in between?
They help you time it. So they'll be like, oh, this flight is on these lifts, flight A, whatever, like, you should start warming up your squats now. And so then once you're warmed up, usually as your flight is going, it's about maybe like 10-15 minutes between your lifts. So usually people are going to be warm enough. Usually they're pretty warm. You know, there's a lot of big people all around. Like, the venues usually stay pretty cozy, I would say. So it's not like you're shivering and like, oh man, I really got to do this stuff. But some people probably have different methods. I haven't had to do anything. I've had pretty easy experiences. I've heard sometimes people have had really fast flights where it's so small that you're like really going up so fast that then that actually throws you off. Because usually powerlifters are used to, you know, taking really long,
sitting around
in between everything. Yeah.
Just chatting with Twitch.
Well, yeah, when you're streaming, it's a little bit worse of an example. I know that like Ben got really used to the long rest times, and then there was a nationals where the flights were going super fast, and everybody was like, my cardio can't take this. Like, everybody was exhausted. So that's why now he does speed run workouts. So he's like prepared for either side of things.
Interesting. Like, stay on top of whatever's thrown at him. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's why I started streaming. I mean, I did for a decent while. I was, you know, doing fitness streaming with you guys. Because I was doing bodybuilding. I was like, I'm just sitting around. Maybe I should put a camera on
talking
and
to
talk
someone.
to some people.
Yeah.
So you started doing fitness streaming back when Twitch was like only gaming and there was no like variety streaming.
Yeah.
Yep.
Somebody yelled at me. They're like, you're breaking TOS, because it was before IRL even existed. And then I was like, oh shoot, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, you literally could only stream games back then. And I had just been streaming games for years, and I quit playing games as much because I was just lifting more, and I was like, this is way more satisfying to spend my time and focus on that over like games. Like, I love games, but when you spend that many hours a day on games and then what you get is a lot of like kids yelling at you, it starts to get you down a little bit. So I was used to streaming, and I was like, well, my same time of day is just lifting. I'll just put the camera on instead. And then someone yelled at me, and I was like, oh, well, thanks for the warning. So I actually streamed on YouTube for a couple months, way in the early days, until Twitch created IRL, and I was like, oh yeah, you can come back. So yeah, me and Domination Time were like the first two people really doing like dedicated, consistent fitness streams.
Yeah, that's so cool. And now it's like ubiquitous, and people are working out online and watching other people work out online, but you were there way before.
Yeah.
And that was before what Amazon bought Twitch and like wanted it to be more variety stuff too. You were like ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Yeah. Now just the rest of the internet needs to realize that it exists, because it's still the kind of thing a lot of people will be like, holy crap, I had no idea this existed on Twitch. That's so cool. And it's like, man, Twitch has given us so many front pages. I think they have actually tried to grow the category and make people more aware, but there's just that image, and most people have come from it originally from games that you just don't even know. You don't even think to search for it, even if you're interested in it. Like, why would you?
Yeah.
What's the difference in audience
Between like Twitch and YouTube, or people who watch fitness on Twitch?
viewers who watch game versus viewers who watch working out?
If they're people that actually have found it and are like, oh, I'm watching Twitch now because now there's content I care about, then I think it's kind of similar to what you'd expect like YouTube viewers to be. But the original audience, like, I still have a lot of people that don't even work out at all. Like, they kind of just watch me because they like hanging out with me. And that's one of the weird things about Twitch compared to YouTube in general, is that just because streaming on Twitch in particular, because I think YouTube streaming still feels really different. Like, it feels way more disconnected, because it's not so much of an established, oh, I'm doing this every day and like we're just gonna hang out. I know some people do that, but like a lot of times it's just, oh, my favorite YouTuber is doing a stream right now, I'll watch that. But it's not like, this is part of my life, I regularly at this time hang out with this person. So then Twitch in general is like, people are just hanging out with each other, and that makes it a very strange thing, because you'll get a wide variety of people watching you, because you get people who just are like, you're a cute girl, I'm gonna watch you. And then you get people who are like, I don't even lift, but I like your personality, so I'm gonna watch you. Or then you get people who are like, I'm brand new to lifting and you're inspiring me, so I'm gonna watch you. So I can't imagine it could be more different really than it is.
Yeah, because people are watching you work out, but they're not necessarily like getting their own squat rack and doing it along with you, right?
Right. Some people do. Like, there are people that have their home gyms and they do actually work out at the same time as me, or even people that are like, oh, you're on, I'll do push-ups with you. But then, yeah, a lot of it is just, I'm playing a video game and I choose to have you on my side screen, and I'll like type whenever random subject that I think is interesting comes up. So that's part of why I think it's kind of a weird thing to grow, because a lot of times when people want fitness content, they just want, how do I do this thing? I'm gonna go YouTube search for it, and I get my answer, and then I go do it. Whereas like a stream is just, it's this weird combination of so many things that it's like, I always wonder, like, what makes some streams really big? Like, what do people want from different streams? Like, my size of stream, people are hanging out and it's like a community and we know each other. A lot of people are regulars and like we talk about anything. But then there's the streams that are so big you can't read chat. So obviously that experience is different. So people want different things. Maybe they even watch both kinds of streams depending on their mood. So it's just so strange. Like, how do you build Twitch fitness when like YouTube fitness is so huge, but we're like the same size basically that we've been the past couple of years? You have more people streaming it, but most people that stream it get like their 5 friends. You know, it's not like, oh, fitness itself and like the fitness audience is getting bigger and bigger. And it seems like it should, like tons of people want that kind of stuff. So maybe it really is just an exposure thing, or maybe it's just the weirdness of streams being like this continuous daily thing. And it's not just give me the content and the thing that I want right this second.
Yeah, it feels like it's more driven by you. Like you could be doing anything and they would just
Right.
like come to hang out with you and the community. And have you ever done like food stuff? Like I feel like
I
that's like
have,
an
yeah.
approach,
I do some meal prep streams sometimes.
Yeah.
And then some, like I did a puzzle stream the other day because we
Cool.
bought puzzles, you know, so like people, and your audience will change, and some people are like, I clearly don't give a crap about this, and they won't watch. But there are a lot of people that are like, oh, it's you, and we can still have the same conversation, so I'm still gonna watch. So it is different. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear that you haven't seen a growth in the viewership, but you have seen more people streaming fitness. So it's been like over a year since I was streaming fitness, and so I was assuming like, yeah, I don't know. When I met you guys, it felt like the fitness community on Twitch was like a handful of people that we all knew, you know?
Yes, yeah, it definitely was that, and it's not that now. I don't know
Really?
everybody now. Yeah.
Interesting. So more people are
I'm
jumping on it.
vaguely aware of some of the people, but there's tons of people where I'm like, I had no idea. And it is weird because it used to be like, how could I not know everybody that's streaming fitness? But yeah, now it's definitely too many people to keep up.
Interesting. So there's been growth in that side of it. Huh. And
Yeah.
what is it like being on the front page?
It was like the first time, because I've had multiple now, which that's the other thing where it's like, for how many times I've been on the front page, you'd think like it would grow more. But the first time was super nerve-wracking, of course, especially because I am so used to reading everything in chat, and I read it out loud because there are a lot of people, like I said, that will be playing a game and just like I'm on the side screen and then they're listening to me. It's like kind of a podcast thing almost. So I read out all of the messages and then answer them so that you don't have to watch to have the context. And then when there's that many people, it's like trying to answer and help everybody. It's really hard. But it's also, I guess since it's not actual people and I'm still talking to my TV on the wall, it's not that intimidating. Because people always are very surprised when I'm like, oh man, I can't imagine like performing in front of people or doing like public speaking, any of that. And they're like, but you're in front of people all the time. And it's like, no, I'm not. I know you see that view count and it's so meaningful to you, but no, it doesn't feel like that to me at all.
Yeah, it is different. Like I would compare it to like when I play a concert versus doing a live stream. It's just like completely different beasts.
Yes.
Or Max, you hosted New Year's for Pitbull?
Yeah, that was pretty stressful.
But see, I can't imagine. I think I would die.
It is funny though, people don't take into account, and it's funny sort of both ways. The viewer who says, oh, you're a performer, you should obviously be able to perform in front of a crowd. I don't understand why not. And me as a online entertainer saying, these aren't real people, that's just a digit on a screen that I see clicking up and down, and you know, for all I know they're bots or whatever. So obviously they're real people. I don't know, it's stressful. Every Twitch stream I've seen, every fitness stream I've seen, actually in general, there's a lot of like, your squat wasn't deep enough.
Oh, well.
Every single rep. And I'm like, yeah, dude, let's see you're like, where's your squat? How's that going? Like, you know, let's let this dude. Does that happen to you a lot?
Yeah, of course. But there's the people who genuinely think they're kind of being helpful and like, oh you should squat deeper.
It's still annoying. Like, it is so irritating.
Right. So it doesn't annoy me so much anymore. I know some people, so one of the things, like when people ask me if they should stream fitness on Twitch, I'm like, maybe, but you have to know that you can handle all these things. Otherwise you're going to ban everybody that ever visits you. So there's that. And there's people, especially with me, I think there's an extra thing that I don't look that strong. I'm not actually that strong, which I am totally okay with. And I'm a girl. And so a lot of people will come in and just assume, oh, hey, did you know you could do curls? Like, oh, did you try, like tricep, whatever the hex? And it's like, yeah, I've done that. Like, would you go, I always use Ben as the example because he's another like big dude. Like, would you go to Ben and be like, have you tried benching this when he's benching 400 pounds and you bench 225? Like, no, you wouldn't say that. So why are you saying that to me? So there's that. Benching? Like, somebody really asked if I had tried like curling with like cables or something like that. I was like, yeah, I do that all the time. Or, so just weird crap like that. And then there's people who, oh, your knees caved in, which, if for anybody that knows, a lot of time women's knees will have like cave in a bit when they're squatting. Sometimes that's something you should fix. Sometimes it's fine. And knowing the difference between those things, it's like the second that somebody says, oh, your knees moved in, it's like, I know that you don't know what you're talking about. Even if somebody else was on my stream with me and their knees were caving in the way that you should fix because their arches are collapsing and they're just like, they have no glute activation and there's like a totally unathletic, crappy squat, and you actually want to fix it, you don't know the difference between them and me. And you're just saying that because it's like, oh, that doesn't look right. And I feel like I need to fix this. And so I'm like, okay, all right, my knees are caving, but tell me, where are they caving from? Like, tell me, like, explain to me, like, what's going on then? Let's see. So I try to test people, and sometimes it gets people to shut up. Usually not. Usually people, think they know what they know. But like, you get backseat everything. No matter what you stream, you're gonna get backseat something. Yeah. That's just the nature of people on the internet, I guess.
Solid strategy though. Man, I just get frustrated because I feel like they're not even trying to help. They're just trying to say, I know, I'm smart.
That's
every
true.
time someone backseats it's really just a comment saying, look how smart I am.
Yeah.
And I don't have the self-control to not get mad.
Right. Because see, sometimes I think people just want to comment. They just want to participate. Yeah, and so that's like, here's something for me to comment on. So I try, because I do snap easily, not like in an angry way, but I'm like, I want to get you and I want to prove that you're like stupid now, because that's like my thing. But then on the other hand, I also do want to try to make people stop and think about what they're actually doing. And so sometimes I try and do a little more like, hey, I realize that you want to like help me and like you just want to participate in this conversation because you're new here and you don't know what else to say. So like, sometimes I go down that whole route and I try to like talk to people and like just explain without just being like, no, you're stupid and this is why you're stupid.
Just have you ever, for 1 second, just think.
It's hard to get people to think, especially like the second you're confrontational about it. Of course, someone's going to be defensive. I would be too. Like, can't blame anyone for that. So it's one of those things that like everybody's missing just a little bit. Like, if you acted just a little bit calmer, a little bit whatever, a little bit nicer, a little bit more patient. Because for me, they're the 10,000th person that have done that to me. But for them, maybe it's like the first time they tried to participate in a fitness stream.
Yeah.
And then I was an asshole, so I don't know.
This might sound like this is a dumb meatball thing to say. So just brace yourself. I've sort of like a satellite aware of, or I'm sort of casually aware of what it's like as a girl in a real gym. Forget about streaming, forget about whatever. It seems like there's a lot of that anyway in a real gym. Have you guys ever experienced that? Or what is that like? No one's ever come up to me in a real gym and been like, you're not doing. Actually, that's not true. People have come up to me a lot and they're like I remember specifically, I was trying to touch my toes and a woman like ran over to me and was like, wow, you are about to tear your hamstrings. Please let me show you how like you are doing this wrong. I am a yoga teacher, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, I guess that's kind of nice. And I didn't realize I was about to tear my hamstrings. Who knows if I was real or not, or she was. But I know that like my girlfriend Brittany like complains all the time about going to the gym and have people like saying like just random dudes walk up to be like, you're not doing that right. You got to do this right. You got to do that right. Does that happen to girls a lot? Or do you feel sort of weird about that?
It hasn't happened to me a ton, but I also have hardly lifted in gyms. But I do have friends that lift in gyms regularly, and like, you know, she'll be benching something that to us, like she's kind of the same size as us. It's like, it's fine, it's whatever. But a guy sees that and it's like, oh my, are you sure you want that on the bar? I can take those 10 pounds off for you. Like, it's not even like she has 225 loaded up or something really crazy. It's like a girl can bench 95 pounds, like, or 120 even. I mean, like my max is 150, which is like,
God.
it's arch though. I mean, do you even arch?
Yes.
I've seen you bench actually.
Just because I want to look as cool as you, but I'm probably doing it wrong. But yes, I do.
Well, I can coach your bench sometime if you want. That's like, that's my only lift that's okay. But like, you know, if she's doing sets, it's only like 120 or something. That's not even that crazy. So like really weird things, like squats and deadlifts especially, like, and one friend in particular who's had tons of people come up to her, like her form isn't perfect all the time. You're not going to break yourself with imperfect form, not overnight. And, you know, Joe Schmo in the gym definitely doesn't know like what, you know, so like, yeah, of course they'll be like, oh, wait, like you're backgrounded a little bit. Are you sure you want to do that? So yeah, it's pretty annoying. But like you said, I mean, even things happen to you. It sucks because there's times where I've been in the gym and I see like people guillotine pressing, which is like when you're benching like this, where you're just very straight up and down, and like that's crap for your shoulders, and you probably don't mean to do that. You're probably not like using that, because like, you know, there's no wrong exercise. There's always some circumstance where some crazy stupid exercise might be useful for a person in their circumstance. So generally you shouldn't judge. Probably they're, you know, the twig little boy, that's offensive, doesn't really mean to do that, and he doesn't know any better. And so I'll be like, because the main lifting I did was in a college gym, so there was a lot of like freshman boys that I'm like, I can bench more than you, please let me help you. But if they don't ask you, you don't get to say anything, and like it sucks because I probably could have genuinely helped, but you still never know, and it's still never ever your place. And I don't know why that's so hard for people to understand.
I'm just gonna start going to yoga classes and handing out dumbbells. Like, here, let me show you.
They can use it though. I actually messed myself up doing yoga because I'm a naturally hypermobile person, and I did tons of yoga before I started lifting, which just fed into that hypermobility. And then when I started actually trying to use my muscles, I just fell into all these crappy positions with no muscle activation to like stabilize the positions I was in. And I've just had like crazy tendonitis problems and like all these tiny annoying nagging injuries, not like, oh, I tore a muscle, not anything cool, just like stuff hurts and it's kind of wrong. And it's all like, I have like this really like 6 years old hamstring strain that I'm pretty sure was just from like overstretching in yoga forever ago, because I didn't have like enough strengthening and enough understanding of when to actually stabilize the position. Because like I think yoga is fine, but I think it's one of those things that it's really hard to understand, like when you are stretching with like correct intent, I guess, and not just like relying on your, it's hard to explain. But anyway, I definitely wish that I had done more lifting while I was doing yoga, because I would have been better off for sure. So that is something that I think about a lot when people are like, oh, I love yoga. It's like, I love yoga too, it's fun, but can you please do a little bit of this other stuff too?
So like most of your warm-up is like activation and not stretching then, right?
So all of the words, like I kind of don't even like the word activation, because when people talk about, oh, you're like, your glutes aren't firing in your squat and you need to activate it more, like that's bullshit stuff. That's like a story that doesn't really make sense. So I'm not an expert on things, but one thing I do know is that the way that you tell the story can matter, because you can get this idea in your head of like, you know, oh, I'm breaking up scar tissue or something doing this thing. And that's not happening. Like you're just lying to yourself, and you're going to feed into these ideas of what you're like, the state of your body is, which then you can like nocebo yourself and blah, blah, blah. So
I did that this morning. My stupid ring was like, you don't feel good. And I was like, you're right, I
Oh, they've
don't.
done studies on that with the sleeping
Yeah.
stuff, that if you are told that you didn't sleep well, then you can feel worse than if you felt well rested. So it's like, maybe don't track your sleep so much, you know, like more than what you can track yourself with your mind, you know?
Right.
So, but like on the other hand, I love all the gadgets and I love gathering data and I do love trying everything. So I do like read about a lot of stuff. I do try a lot of activation and stretching and blah, blah, blah. And all of this was just a really long point to say, like, yeah, I do a bunch of stuff. However you want to label it, I'm not sure. But the main thing that I try to work on is making sure that I'm not just like sinking into my bones and letting the structure do the movement. So for example, if you stand on one leg and you're just standing there and you're just like kind of slouching and whatever, you can balance on one leg, but you're just balancing on like your structure of your bones and your tendons and ligaments and everything, because they'll just hold you. But if you stand actively where you like squeeze your glutes and you kind of like stand up tall and everything, you can see like your legs will come in like a little bit, like you'll have kind of like a bend like this if you're just resting, but if you get activated,
If you
then,
activate,
you know, like you'll stand up like that. Yeah. So then
if you
that
actively
stuff,
activate,
yeah, you have to like consciously do that, and you have to consciously do that in your other movements. So like in squatting, you have to consciously do that stuff to actually use all the muscles that you're supposed to be using to like do the form efficiently and like healthily. So even though some people go a little bit too overblown about, oh, your bad form is going to injure you, that's like not the full story. But there's certainly things where if you are continuously relying on, you know, your hip flexors in your squat because you're not like engaging your core and glutes enough, your hip flexors are probably going to start to get pissed off because they don't actually want to take all of that force in your squat. So like I especially have had to learn that the hard way, where I've done everything wrong. And so now I'm like, okay, I have to like really think about, warm up these things. How's everything feeling? How's like this motion going? So I'll do a lot of things where I like squat and then I like kind of test, like, how's this feel? What's going on? What do I want to do today to like make that move and do the thing I want it to do? And so it's, maybe it's stretching. Maybe something feels kind of tight and gunky. Maybe I'm just like feeling like I'm not really engaging. So I want to do something to be like, hey, come on, turn on, like wake up, whatever. So yeah, I do a lot of random stuff depending on what feels like it needs, whatever.
It seems so sensible. You just listen to your body and respond. What?
Yes. Yeah. But it can take a long time to figure that out, for sure.
Yeah, I'm still working on it. Oh, and you talked about tracking and stuff. Max, she's doing levels right now.
oh
Yeah.
do you love it?
I am so curious. So like, I'm on, I don't know, like not even the first week. Day 5
everything's
or something
all
like
still
that.
screwy.
Yeah. And like I had a bunch of nights where it was really hypoglycemic, and I think it's just because I was sleeping on it weird, and so it was making it be weird. But then I had a day where I drank and I was like hypoglycemic from that. So now I'm like, I'm curious if like there's actually something going on. So I've been like trying to experiment with things. I've ordered an actual like prick test to double check some of those.
She's drinking the Kool-Aid, getting into it. Yeah. Well, I know it's like my first few days, like those drops were just because like the sensor's still like figuring your body out.
Right.
Yeah. Max and I did a beer mile and I went hypoglycemic after because like it stops your body from like using glucose correctly or making more when you're drunk. So it's interesting because you would expect like alcohol would spike you, but sometimes it drops you.
Yeah. It was totally the opposite of what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty interesting.
Sweet. Well, I'm interested to see what you figure out for the whole month.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited that like you have that much time to trial and error things.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh,
it's funny too how opposite things you thought turns out completely turned on its head.
Yeah, like I should just be eating pasta all the time. When
really, that's like great for you.
Yeah, and I was eating Oat Bran instead, but it made me diabetic. Like,
Oh wow.
spiked into like diabetic level. Yeah.
And also, it's a
Wow.
nice sort of reminder about how stuff, like if pasta was the same for me. Plain pasta was fine. Pasta with tomato sauce that I made was fine. Pasta with store-bought tomato sauce was just like,
Oh
you know.
wow,
So it
yeah.
was also one of
Like
those
sugar in
like,
it.
hey, dummy, you know, just because you buy stuff in a store that looks relatively healthy, it could have just a ton of sugar that you have no idea about.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And then you realize that like it's so hard to get and give nutrition advice because everyone is so different.
Yeah, everybody has to basically do their own experimentations, even if it's not as fancy as doing that. But like, what is going to work for someone and be sustainable for someone is completely different.
Yeah. Well, you are doing like online coaching and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, there's like a basis that everyone should know, like, hey, have fiber or whatever. And
Right.
a lot of
Yes.
people are missing that.
Something green.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, that is probably the majority of people. It's not like, oh, I'm fine tuning the really like next level stuff. It's just, can we please get the basics? Can we just, get a decent 80, because like, the whole 80-20 rule, like 80% healthy, 20% whatever the heck you want to do. Like, I'm all about that. I don't think anybody needs to be like perfect. It doesn't have to be crazy, but just some vegetables, some, enough fiber every day. Like you said, like some basic things. It's hard to get people to do that because it's so different from how they've been eating their whole lives, basically.
Right. Right. And you have Martini in your name, so obviously you're okay with
Obviously, yeah. Yes.
something.
Yes. I don't even like martinis the most though, but it sounded good for the name.
We do
Like
ask
of
everyone.
all cocktails,
Yeah.
it's probably my least favorite.
Huh.
It's my least favorite for sure. Mostly because of
Why?
the
It's so
glass.
good.
I always feel like I'm like,
Oh.
I don't know. It's
Oh, I like the glasses. But like I think if it's in that glass, I want something sweet. Otherwise, I'm just gonna drink like straight whiskey. Like if I'm gonna drink something that's just alcohol, it's gonna be whiskey.
What
But
about
if I'm
alcohol,
drinking
please?
something that it's like if it's gonna be vodka or gin, I want like a cocktail. I want like something fancy with cardamom and I don't know, whatever.
Cardamom. It's true. And then you set it on fire for some
I want
reason.
a
Oh.
zest.
Yeah, exactly.
Zest.
Exactly.
Have you done the whiskey and deadlifts that Chris Duffin talks about?
Of course.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I drink while I lift pretty often, actually. Usually, so the trick is I generally finish my compounds, and because usually those are the beginning of the workout. And then, like, when you're doing your curls and your whatever, of course you can drink. Like, it's not like you're going to be stupid, tipsy curling. Like, it's fine. So that's usually what I do. Like, the first half of my stream, serious, and then the second half, well, as serious as I am, and then the second half, that's when I'll start like drinking and just being silly.
You heard it here, folks. Drinking is only for the accessory work.
Yes, but I have done the deadlift thing, the like take a shot and do your deadlift, which it can actually kind of work. You wouldn't think so because you're like, obviously you're not going to feel like tipsy right away, but there is sort of like just kind of like the smelling salts, but milder effect of bringing you out of your head sort of a thing. I know that Duffin's explained better, like what it's supposed to be doing immediately. But if anything, I'm totally going to pick the whiskey over smelling salts for a deadlift.
Yeah.
Smelling salts are terrible. I don't know. Allie, have you ever smelled a salt?
Nope, never.
The worst.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Some people swear by it. It's just what wakes you up. Isn't it supposed to be for people who like fainted and then someone decided to do it before they lifted?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like very, very sinus clearing. If you imagine like you took a whiff of like menthol times 10,000 very suddenly straight to the nose. So it like hurts, but it's also like this shot of light to your brain.
Yeah.
But that's why it's both clearing and both confusing.
It could be one of those things that you get used to it and then you love it. But I
right. Well, a lot of people lift with less. It's more of like I hype myself up and I'm just like power through that. Like there's definitely a style of lifting where if you're like that, I could see it makes more sense because you're not really trying to think. I'm always like thinking, walking through my steps, like all of that. So if you throw that, my normal routine out, then I'm sure I can do it because at this point it is automated, but it doesn't feel right.
Well, but I think that's important. That's an important point, is that you don't have to get psyched up, slap face or whatever.
Right.
A lot of people in a lot of different sports, a lot of people think like the only way to get really pumped is like to get angry or to lose yourself a little bit or whatever. Great song, obviously, but that's not the only way to do stuff. Other people are very much more successful, like working through each step of their routine. I know like a lot of MMA fighters talk about the complete opposite of getting psyched up. They want to be like very calm. They want to be like right in their thing because they feel like they don't want to make a stupid mistake. So I think if anyone out there thinks that the only way to hit their deadlift PRs is a smelling salt, try something else beforehand.
Yeah, and if you, because a lot of people do psych themselves out, like a PR is kind of heavy and it's scary and whatever, but if that is your problem, then I feel like you should work through that. Like there's a thing that I've seen people do where they have like for a squat, somebody else loads up the plate and then they put garbage bags on top so you can't see what it is. So you can't actually psych yourself out, and you just have to like get ready as if it's the heaviest thing ever, because you should be doing that every time anyway. Yeah, I mean, I wonder, you could put like fake
just
plates
jump
on there and
off
make it crazy. Yeah.
Start
You
falling.
probably could hurt yourself if it was like really nothing and you're like, I'm gonna go like it's everything. But generally you should. Yeah. So if you like, I think that could be really beneficial if you psych yourself out too much, to just like practice with that. Or like if you're used to pound plates, then start using the tiny little kilo plates so it looks like nothing. Since you won't be used to what it looks like psychologically.
Yeah.
I remember very early on, I was working out and I was like, man, these are really heavy for pounds. And they were like, yeah, it's kilos. I was like, okay, much better.
Yeah, I'd be scared. Like, oh man, I'm so weak today. What's wrong with me?
Gotta track my glucose.
That'll do it. Are you doing Average Joe's powerlifting competition?
But I am doing one of the like announcing or commentating. I'm commentating for 1 hour.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So to fill people in, there's another set of Twitch streamers, Average Joe's, that are doing a powerlifting competition on Twitch. So I think I might submit. Let's not have any conflict of interest here. We won't talk about this.
No, I think that they just pick random winners because since it's such a fun thing, and we can't really validate if anybody's cheating. So to not really like over incentivize or whatever, I think most of the winning prizes is just like a random, if you submit, you can possibly win.
All right, here comes my Olympic bar lift, and that's it. I'm gonna squat the
just
girl
make
bar.
sure you count the bar right. Like that bar weighs less, right?
Yeah, it's like
35 or something.
Well, 15 kilograms. So I always say it's 33, but it's like slightly less, right? Or
I don't.
Whatever.
Making me do math.
15 times 2.2. Anyway.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You should though. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. You said something earlier too that I want to go back to. Do you hook grip on deadlift?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Because I used to, and I was like worried about like, I don't know, tendon problems but you suggest that it's...
Ben hook grips.
Oh, okay.
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, okay. Solid. I'm going back to it.
Yeah.
Easy.
Oh yeah. I still switch grip if I'm in like a commercial gym and I don't have straps and like the bars are always slippery and everything. Cause for some reason, cause usually they don't give you chalk or they don't let you use chalk. And like I can't hook grip without chalk, and switch just feels easier in that case. But I hate like trying to make sure that I'm really set up even. It's nice to just not worry about that.
Yeah. Well, do you ever hook and switch grip?
No, I don't know why people do that.
Okay.
People actually do that and it's weird. It makes no sense. I've never heard a reasonable explanation. I've never actually heard anyone give an explanation.
Got it. Because I have done it in the past and I will no longer do that. looking like a dumb person. I have a lot of Instagrams to delete, actually.
Just come up with an explanation.
Yeah. It's just so I get more comments from people mad at me, and then I have more engagement on Instagram.
There you go. There you go. Perfect. Totally reasonable.
You know you're not doing that right.
Thanks, Max.
Excuse me, hun.
Oh, yes. Always with the hun.
You use a belt too, right? I've never.
I do sometimes. I'm actually like so bad at using belt right now. So I don't usually on deadlifts at all, unless it's conventional deadlifts. I do like it on that. On squats, I do, but I haven't been using it for so long because I've been fixing like nagging injury things. So I've been squatting such low weight, I haven't needed it. So I'm finally getting up a little more and I'm trying to use it again. And it's like, man, I completely forgot how to do this. And it's so uncomfortable and weird. So yeah, it's tough. Because I find it changes my form a little bit. And like, it will make my knees want to cave even more. And so there's just like some weird thing I have to figure out what the heck I'm doing with it. Because it throws me off a lot lately.
What is your favorite piece of workout, extra
Equipment?
workout equipment? Not like
knee
a
sleeves.
bar.
Easy knee
Easy
sleeves.
knee sleeves?
I love knee sleeves. Yes.
Why? Too cold. Your knees get real cold.
No, I don't know why people say that. That whole like, oh yeah, wear them to keep my knees warm. I'm like, what the heck? Your circulation's that bad? I don't understand that one. No, it just it helps you feel depth, and it just makes me feel so much more stable. Even though my knees will still cave with them on, it makes it cave a lot less, and I just feel like I can control all my muscles better. And it does, like, I have very tight knee sleeves, so it does feel like I get a little bit of a bounce out of them. But I'm actually, next month, I'm going to be trying knee wraps.
Yeah, that was my next question. Have you?
Yeah, I haven't ever done any of that, but a friend is visiting and she's bringing a squat suit and knee wraps. So I'm going to try the whole equipped thing, which is going to be very scary and interesting.
Oh yeah, a squat suit like squeezes you in weird places, right? I don't really know much about it.
It all makes it hurt a lot more, and then because you're getting like this elastic rebound thing, you can lift a lot more, but it also changes your form. So like your squat is not exactly the same. So like I might not even squat more just because it'll throw me off so much because I've never done it before. That just because it can be useful doesn't mean it's going to be that useful until I really learn how to do it. So we'll see how it goes. I think the knee wraps will help the most because that will be more of just like a knee sleeve, but stronger.
Right. Similar to what you're used to. Yeah. It's weird that you have to learn how to use it. And then you can unlearn, right? You stop using sleeves. It's not like riding a bike because you were not using them for so long. You learned back to do it the other way.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. That's why if you are like really about the competition and everything, even if you're doing stuff that's like easy and light, you still want to use your equipment just so like you stay used to using your equipment.
Right. Do you ever train like hypertrophy or like athletic speed kind of stuff, or is it
speed? Hell no. Hypertrophy, yeah, because I'm not really a pure like power lifter. Like I said, I'm really pretty weak. I'm terrible at it.
Okay, well, you're insulting me now because I lift less than you. So.
Yeah, but you've never tried to focus on it solely for like years either. Okay. I did focus for years. Yes. Solid. With coaches and everything. But so like I do also, I'm like, I want nice delts, like I want to make my arms as big as I can.
Great choice.
I
didn't say abs. That's my favorite.
Oh yeah, no. I get abs-ish fairly easily if I get I just have to get a little lean and then it's fine. But then I love cookies, so I also don't prioritize leanness a lot.
Sure.
Like cookies when I feel abs. Like it, I'll get lean. Yeah, exactly.
Also, the world's a mess right now, so nobody should be cutting. It's bulking season for everyone.
I'm gonna start in January. I'm gonna be a New Year's resolutioner.
Oh, that's fair. Okay. That you're just gonna go into like a cut season or whatever just to
just because I am a bit on the
how long
more
is
fluffy
cut
than
season?
necessary side. I don't know. However long I want it
Dozens
to be.
of hours.
After I take this pre-workout.
Well, so the smart thing to do is usually make it as slow as possible. You know, that's like the healthy way to do it.
You don't want to lose all the muscle that you fluffed.
Exactly. But on the other hand, going faster is sometimes better for your brain. So I like to try to balance the two, feel it out. I've done some really low cuts. Like I said, I did get to 112, though that was years ago. So it wasn't like I'd gone from 140 to 112. It was more like I went from 120 something to 112. But like I have done deep cuts before. So I've made the mistakes there too. You know, I've gotten unhealthy.
Haven't we all?
Yeah.
Max has done weigh-ins where he like sweated it all out and like was unhealthy, low weight. Is that like a part of powerlifting culture too, or less so than
water cuts?
Really?
Oh yeah, okay. For sure. You can do. So you obviously don't want to cut too hard, especially if, you know, there's 24-hour weigh-ins or 2-hour weigh-ins. A 2-hour weigh-in, you cannot rehydrate that much. So you don't want to do like a crazy water cut or you're going to screw your performance. 24-hour weigh-in, you can go way more balls to the wall. I've never done like sauna and sweating it out. I've done the whole, you drink a lot more water and you up your salt and then you drop them and you just naturally like drop a bunch of water. So I've done like, I don't know, 8-pound water cuts ish. I'm always like cutting calories too, so it's hard to say how much is pure water. I could probably look up the data at some point. I've kept track of my weight since I started lifting, so I have all of those. I can just be like, when was that meet? Okay, what weight was I for those days and everything? And I've done water cuts other times just to like practice to see, you know, for like a mock meet to make sure, you know, like I think that's a good thing to do if you're gonna go through water cutting, you should practice it, but usually you shouldn't. Like it doesn't, like powerlifting at a local meet is not that serious and you're probably not going to set a record and it really doesn't matter what weight class you're in because you're just competing with yourself. So there's that whole thing, like don't even bother. But I just like doing all the things. I think it's fun. So of course I've always done it, but yeah, it wasn't that bad the way that I did it.
It's the 2-hour versus the night before thing is such a huge difference too. And did you notice that? Did you, in a mock meet or whatever, did you try to perform and you noticed, wow?
I've done the 2 actual meets I've done. One was a 24-hour and one was a 2-hour, and I water cut for both of them. And the 24-hour weigh-in was the first one, and that went great. The 2-hour weigh-in, I probably screwed it up. Like it was a terrible meet for me, and I could tell like from my first warm-ups, I was like, I feel weak. I think I probably cut too hard. So the one thing I'm not sure if it was the whole cutting before plus water cut, if it was just the water cut, because I was doing both. But I definitely did too much and it was a bad meet day. I didn't bomb out, but I definitely felt weak as hell.
Yeah, it's crazy how much it affects your performance.
Yeah.
I guess probably the best part of doing a crazy water cut like that is just seeing how much it affects you, and also seeing how much you can manipulate the number on a scale within a 12 to 24 hour or whatever period, you know. So that's why when people are always like, I want to lose 10 pounds, I'm like, well, I could lose 10 pounds.
Yeah, like 10 pounds doesn't mean anything.
And what does that mean? You should try to like look better, feel better, have that sort of strength. So I think a lot of people underestimate it. I remember I was doing a cut once in college, and this guy, one of the crew rowing guys, was like, "Yeah, man, yeah, I do that too, man. It's so brutal. Weigh in on Friday, and then by the time Sunday comes around, you're good." And I'm like, 48 hours? Is that what you just said? Like, are you serious? He's like, "Yeah, man, it's so tough. I got you, bro." And I was like, "You don't got me." Like, excuse you. I don't know.
That is one of those things where you can tell people, you know, like water fluctuates, water is this, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, like sometimes you just have to actually do it and see it for yourself to like make it hit home.
Yeah, I absolutely think I think it's a dumb thing to do in general, except for everyone should do it once to see how dumb it is.
Right. Well, and that's why, like, depending on the way you do it, you can certainly do it more healthy than other ways. Like, and you can push it really, really hard. So that's why if anyone's going to do one for fun, I definitely support the way that I did it, because there's no like sweating it out where it's like really like truly like forcing unnatural water loss. Like any of it can of course be unhealthy, but at least when you're just like peeing it all out because you drank too much and then you drink less, it's a little more auto-regulated and the least risky it's going to be.
I mean, I've done the opposite where, you know, those like impedance tests where they tell you your body fat.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I took one after chugging like 4 12-ounce servings of water. It's like a big jug. And they were like, uh-oh, you're overweight, borderline obese, 31% body fat. And I was like, what? Have you seen my Instagram?
Yeah, that's why when people want to buy those scales to tell them their body fat, I'm like, you're gonna know if you're losing weight. Like, you don't need that scale. Like, the scale is just gonna tell you your water. That's all it does.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, pants. Awesome. I mean, exactly. Clothes. Clothes are the best.
Right. Measure. Oh, do you ever do like that? I haven't gotten that far as to like measure my biceps and track like that, but I feel like I should.
I have. I've been less so, but I have like measurements over the years at random points. I used to do it like once a week. So yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, we already talked about, Max and I always ask about like, how do you drink and incorporate that into your training and nutrition? Duh, we already discovered that's the only thing we ask people. But
that's funny.
This has been awesome. Thank you so much for chatting with us. It was great to catch up.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And where can the Fitheads go find you online and on Twitch and whatever?
Well, twitch.tv/MartiniMonsters is the main thing, but it's MartiniMonsters on everything. So Instagram, my website is MartiniMonsters.com.
Sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you to the Fitheads. If you can rate and review, that helps us a whole lot. And we will see you next week.